I was reminded of the quote that I read in the nursery the other day that said, "Your mind is a garden. Your thoughts are the seeds. Grow flowers instead of weeds." Ironically enough, my garden has plenty of weeds in it. And this being our first year growing in Missouri, we have learned a lot. We also just had a baby this year and started a new job. And so we have not been as diligent with weeding as I hoped we would be. But it is amazing to me how well everything seems to grow over here, including the flowers. And it reminds me of how intentional we have to be with what we plant here. When I step outside the door of my little farmhouse here, it is wild. This place is a wild jungle. The plants grow like crazy. The bugs are ferocious. The predators are plenty. And to the naked eye, this place seems wild. But when you look at it through a lens and you see the beauty and you see the potential, and that everything literally does grow here, including the beautiful flowers, it amazes me. So welcome to our little 100-year-old farmhouse here in our wild little farm in Missouri. I'm so glad you guys are here. And today I wanted to invite you into my little farmhouse kitchen. We are going to be preserving some harvest, making sauerkraut, canning salsa, doing a bit of dairy and yogurt. And I also wanted to share with you the most amazing chocolate cake. It would be almost a sin not to share it with a friend. It is moist and fudgy and delicious, and you would never believe that it is a chocolate zucchini cake. So I have mentioned in the past that I really truly believe that you can start living a more homesteading lifestyle anywhere you are, whether you live in an apartment, in the suburbs, or you have ventured onto the farm. I really do believe that you can start in your very own kitchen, preserving and being more self-sustainable just by setting goals and taking it one step at a time. And for me, one goal I've had for a long time is to tackle fermenting. And so, of course, the gateway into fermentation is sauerkraut. I've already started yogurts and a few things with dairy, but today I am starting sauerkraut and I am so excited. Jared bought me this fermentation crock a couple years ago and I'm just barely getting to it. And so I'm following a recipe that is from layman's.com, which is where this crock was bought from. And so I have shredded about 5 pounds of cabbage here, and I've measured that out on the scale. And I'm putting in here 3 tablespoons of salt. Now you actually can add too much salt, which they say is really the beginner's mistake with sauerkraut. And so it's about 2 teaspoons per pound of cabbage. So I wasn't sure about free roaming our chickens this summer. Jared wanted to free roam the chickens, leave the gate open out of their chicken coop so that they could roam around and eat the bugs, especially the ticks that are here in the summertime. And I can honestly say it's worked out really well. We do have a dog that keeps track of these chickens. She is part border collie, part poodle. And so she actually does kind of come and chase them around, herd them a little bit. We haven't lost any chickens to predators or the dog yet this summer. And so that's going pretty well. And they love receiving all the scraps that come out of the kitchen and the garden. I do love having chickens. If you have backyard chickens, go ahead and put down in the comments below. I would love to know about your backyard chickens as well. So now we're going to move on to making some salsa. A lot of these are from neighbors' gardens and from our garden as well. One thing I like to do is core my tomatoes and cut them in half and put them here on the cookie sheet. I do not de-seed my tomatoes or skin them by hand. This is kind of a nifty trick for peeling your skins off your tomatoes. I just put that rack up on the top of my oven and I broil my tomatoes. I just kind of keep an eye on them until the skins get brown or blackened, and then they just peel right off, and it's so much easier. So I don't want you to think that you need to have a fancy fermentation crock to make sauerkraut. There are so many ways that you can make sauerkraut. Just get online and do a little bit of research. You can start out with a mason jar. As long as you have some sort of weight that can keep that sauerkraut below the liquid level, there are lots of simple ways that you can make sauerkraut. And you definitely don't need to wait for 2 years like I did to start sauerkraut. I hope that maybe this inspires you to not wait 2 years. Just jump right in. I always say if there's something that you've been wanting to do and you've been wanting to do it for a long time, then that's the sign that this is something you really do want to try and you should just give it a go. So I learned last year that we needed about 3 times more salsa than we canned up last year. So this is really just the first batch for the year. I'm going to need to do this at least 2 or 3 more times for us to have enough salsa to last through the year. Salsa is one of those things that our family loves to have on hand. We love to have chips and salsa. It's great with tacos and all sorts of meals. So I feel like every year we just learn something new. We learn what we need to make more of. We learn what we need to make less of. We learn what we like and what we don't like. When it comes to condiments and spreads, our family loves salsa and jams and jellies. So it's definitely worth it to preserve and to make plenty of it. And it saves us lots of money throughout the year. Usually I like to just eyeball things. I like to look at a couple of recipes and just kind of go by taste and what tastes the best. This year I'm sticking to a recipe more closely, and this recipe calls for apple cider vinegar, and I'm sure for safe canning reasons, but I didn't really love the taste of apple cider vinegar as well in here, and I'm wondering if it will kind of mellow out as it sits on the shelf over the year. So I would like to know what you think about the apple cider vinegar. If you tried different recipes that call for vinegar in your canning recipes, let me know what some of your wisdom and thoughts are on that. I feel like I'm still adjusting to having to do all of the things that I'm used to doing, but with the newborn, especially during preserving season. This is kind of tricky. There's about a 6 years age gap between my 2 youngest, so I feel like I'm a little bit out of practice, honest to say. And so sometimes I am putting her in the carrier and getting things done that way and just bouncing her around. And other times she's sleeping in her bassinet and one of her siblings is kind of playing next to her and helping keep an eye on her that way. I thought I would throw some chicken thighs here in the Instant Pot and just put a little bit of extra salsa over those. And tonight we'll have some sort of salsa chicken, bowls with rice and beans and just keep it really simple. And that way, dinner will not have been forgotten while we are in the kitchen canning. So I'm just going to put together some cilantro lime rice. I'm just doing 4 cups of water, 2 cups of rice, some salt. I grabbed a couple limes and juiced those in here. And I'm going to throw in a bunch, or a handful, I guess, of cilantro as well, and a little bit of garlic salt. So after canning all that salsa and dinner, I just needed some downtime. So I went and took a bubble bath, took a moment to rest, and now I'm checking here on my sauerkraut, which I could have finished earlier this day. The water line was not as high as I hoped it would be. So I boiled some water with some salt and am adding that to the cabbage so that it is well submerged below the weights. And now I'm putting the lid on and adding water to the water trough. My plan is to not disturb the sauerkraut, let it sit here on the counter to ferment for a few days. With this much sauerkraut going in the crock, it's going to take a little bit longer to ferment, probably 8 to 14 days. They say it just gets better with time. So I'm not too worried about it. And we'll see what happens. And I'm finally getting to these poor little flowers that are so thirsty. And the rest can wait for tomorrow. We woke up to a rainy day, and I love the rain. So that's always a good day for me. It's the perfect day to stay in the kitchen, stay inside, and just putter around and get some things done. We are back to getting our 4 gallons of milk from our Amish friends. And so that means I am back to making butter, separating the cream, and making all sorts of yummy things with this raw cow's milk. So today I plan to separate the cream from the milk, make some butter, and we are going to make some yogurt as well. I have a very in-depth video on how to make yogurt, and I can link that in the description box below so you can go and see how I do that there. And I also have been making my butter here in the blender, and I find it to be much quicker and less messy having it all contained within the blender. How do you know when the butter is done? Well, I just keep an eye on it, and when I start to see that that whey has really separated from the rest of the fats, that's when you know. And I just add some salt to this butter and strain it off. I'm part of a cheese making group on Facebook, and one of the people on there asked the question, why does my butter taste cheesy or smell kind of cheesy? And one of the cheesemakers on there responded that there was too much whey in the butter. And I think there really is something to that. I've also noticed that sometimes my butter can smell a little cheesy. And so I think I really could strain this much better. Maybe I need to put it in the fridge and then pull it out and strain it again. But today I'm using these amazing butter molds that my sister-in-law sent me. She heard that I needed some new butter molds, and I'm excited to use them because they are in cubes just like you get from the grocery store. So they kind of put it in that 1/2 cup cube, which makes it so much easier to measure out for baking and such. something that I'm much more used to. So I'll also link these butter molds down in the description box below if you're interested in getting those.
Yeah, that's butter. Oh, those slices of butter. Yes,
Looks like we need to add batteries to our chicken door, which is automatic. I didn't let the chickens out this morning, and sometimes when we get a lot of rain, the chicken feeder gets a little bit clogged because of all the humidity and moisture. So just taking care of a little bit of chicken troubles this morning. Jared actually took a couple of our roosters. We had two too many roosters in our chicken coop. And so he took those guys over to our friends over at the Amish farm, and Jared butchered some roosters this morning with the Amish. So I am making some fresh chicken stock here with this fresh chicken, which is going to make for the most delicious bone broth, which is so good for you. So I'm happy to do that. This is just life on the farm, I'm learning, and you definitely don't need 3 roosters. We did keep 1 rooster so that we could be able to hatch our own chicken eggs, and that's something we would love to do. We would also love to grow some of our own meat chickens. So, like I said before, any chicken people out there, let me know if you have much experience in doing that. I'd love to know your thoughts. With this chicken stock, I'm just adding garlic and some onion, celery, and carrots. Very simple. Suddenly, the sky got really dark and angry and moody, and it put me in the mood for a little bit of Debussy. When you've been working really hard in the kitchen, sometimes you need to relax, listen to some really good music, and make some chocolate cake. For now, all my food storage is stored above my cabinets, and anywhere else in the kitchen I can find space for it. It's not the coolest place in the house, but it will do for now. I hope that some of you guys will make this chocolate zucchini cake. I have made it, well, let's just say far too many times this summer and enjoyed it far too much. I hope that you enjoy it too. And make sure to comment down below. I love to talk to you guys in the comments. And have a wonderful rest of your summer. I'll talk to you soon. Love you lots.